The president is set to visit Pittsburgh today, 3 days after the massacre at the Tree of Life Synagogue. But as Pittsburgh continues to mourn and heal, some are saying the president should delay his visit.
I would prefer if he would wait until we've had the opportunity to have all of the funerals. That's where our priority is in Pittsburgh.
Please, Mr. President, if you're watching this, wait a week. Come next week. The focus this week is on the funerals. The focus needs to be on honoring the victims.
Some others say he should not visit at all. A group of progressive Jewish leaders wrote a letter to the president telling him he is not welcome in Pittsburgh until he denounces white nationalism. The letter has been signed by tens of thousands nationwide, but others say they will welcome the president with open arms.
The president may come and visit. Would you like to visit with him?
It'd be my honor to always meet a president of the United States.
Joining me now, author of the new book, Presidents of War, NBC News presidential historian Michael Beslash. Mike Besh, I can't speak today. The story has me too upset.
It took me a while,
too.
Thank you.
At times of tragedy, people look to their leaders. We've obviously looked at the president's reaction to the man sending the pipe bombs, to the attack in the synagogue. What is your take on all of this?
Most presidents in a moment of crisis like this, especially with such a huge emotional element, most of us are hurting. They heal, they unite, they inspire. It's not exactly rocket science. You look all the way through American history. That's what presidents do. It's not in Donald Trump's software to do this. He's a one-trick pony. His single political MO is to try to divide and conquer, to pit groups against one another and benefit from it politically, even after a tragedy like what happened on Saturday. What other president in our history, Stephanie, would have made those jokes he did about his hair, would have gone on with this political rally just a few hours after this happened? It gets to empathy. One of the things that we ask from a president is to have a little bit of empathy. When Abraham Lincoln was waging the Civil War, he said to a friend, "Can you imagine that I, who cannot even bear to watch a chicken being slaughtered, I'm responsible for oceans of blood?" Lincoln said when he was asked to build a national cemetery, he said, "I'd put it near my summer house so that I will see it every single day, so that I'll be confronted by those graves being dug, and I will remember the results of the terrible decisions I'm making."
Wow. There are people who are questioning whether the president's rhetoric, the division that he has caused, could be partially to blame to incite this kind of violence. A Washington Post reporter writes, "The fact that Trump's rhetoric is without compare in American politics makes that a logical question."
He's been doing it. It's been right before our eyes. We all saw that rally when he was inciting people, in the arena during the campaign to violence. He's done it all the way through.
But is it fair to blame the president?
No, I'm not blaming the president. We have to find out a lot more about what motivated the culprits in these incidents. All I'm saying is that when something like this happens, you have to begin to look at the general atmosphere. And if the atmosphere is something that we don't like, and I don't like it, I hate it, I think it's scary, I think it's a threat to democracy, you have to begin to look at the people responsible. And as far as anti-Semitism is concerned, just about the last commercial of Donald Trump's campaign in 2016 very directly essentially blamed prominent Jewish Americans in finance for some of the financial problems. That was not even opaque. His first statement after he was inaugurated on Holocaust Remembrance Day, January of 2017, when in American history have we seen a president issue a statement remembering the Holocaust and the statement does not even mention Jews? What's going on here?
Is the issue that he's capitalizing on a hatred that already exists? The Anti-Defamation League says that there has been a 57% spike in anti-Semitic incidents since 2017. And if you think about what's happening in the world, who Brazil just elected, the fact that Angela Merkel isn't going to run again, what does this tell you about the state of the world, much broader than just President Trump?
You're dealing in other countries where there are right-wing governments possibly coming to power that threaten violence. Angela Merkel falling is tremendously important. 50 years from now, we may look at that as a pivotal moment in world history that led to more authoritarianism in Europe. I hope I'm wrong. But the point is that any president, especially in a global situation like that, looking at the situation at home, would lean over backwards to make sure that you're not throwing matches on kerosene. He's throwing matches on kerosene.
To that exact point about leaning over backwards to ensure you are doing everything correct and with great sensitivity, I want to share what the president told Fox News just last night about nationalism.
It means I love the country. It means I'm fighting for the country. I look at two things, globalists and nationalists. I'm somebody that wants to take care of our country because for many, many years, you know this better than anybody, our leaders have been more worried about the world than they have about the United States, and they leave us in a mess. I'm proud of this country, and I call that nationalism. I call it being a nationalist, and I don't see any other connotation than that.
So in a perfect world, if we lived in a bubble, the explanation that the president gives...
It was despicable. It was despicable because he knows perfectly well that there are many people in this country who refer to Jewish Americans as globalists. I think he knew exactly what he was saying, and the fact that he could have said that 2 days after the worst attack in all of American history on Jewish Americans as they were worshiping, this is what I'm talking about. You do not throw matches on kerosene if you're the kind of president that we were lucky enough to have for most of American history.
He also knows the white nationalist movement, so he could have used many other words besides a nationalist.
To a lot of people, the word nationalist means white nationalist. In history, oftentimes, there was a man named George Lincoln Rockwell who was the head of the American Nazi Party who was killed in the 1960s, and Rockwell wrote a book called The Nationalist Perspective, and guess what he was referring to?
I don't like this, not one bit. If you're the president of the United States, you've got teams that can help you ensure that you say every single word correctly. No more is this. He didn't know any better.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.